What's the matter, baby? What's the matter?
So you would have just got a notification saying that that it's broadcasting live.
Yeah, it's too early.
I'm just going to wait for the line to move. I'm probably already live on YouTube and everyone's going, you're already there.
Can I have a bird? Thank you. What's the matter?
Okay. All right. So we've got that sorted. All right. So welcome to my I Love Stamping Night. So I just wanted to have a little bit of a chat. And I mean, I know there's a couple of team members here, well, ex-team members and new team members. And Kendall has actually been part of my team a couple of times as well. So the reason why I'm holding an I Love Stamping Night is just to chat with you a little bit about what being a part of Stampin' Up is all about, and just give you a little bit of an insight into what our team is about, what the benefits are to be a part of our team, and just generally chat a little bit about Stampin' Up. So first of all, I want to introduce myself to people that don't know. So there will be people that will be watching on YouTube as well. So I'm Donna Gray, and I've been with Stampin' Up now for 6.5 years. And I just want to tell you a little bit about my story and my journey with Stampin' Up, and where it has taken me to in the 6.5 years that I've been a part of it. So first of all, I was wanting to join a crafting community. I was wanting to join a crafting company just to get a discount on my crafting products. And I had several times looked at Stampin' Up, looked at the website, even started the joining process, and bailed. Every time that I did it, I kept going, no, I don't want to get myself into this. It's scary. It's one of those direct selling companies, and I don't want to be pressured to buy things or to sell things or to recruit people. And so I physically bailed several times because all I actually wanted to do was to join a company and enjoy a discount. So when I actually kept watching other people and kept hearing that they said that you could join just to get a discount, I thought, well, you know what, I might try that and see how I go. And the one thing that actually stopped me was every time I got to, do you have an ABN number? That is what used to stop me. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to go down the track of doing tax returns, because I had actually had a business, had done the whole superannuation, having staff members, doing all the legal things to actually run a business, doing all the tax returns and stuff, and paying huge tax bills. And I had been out of that for quite a few years. So I actually really physically didn't want to go down that track again. So it sort of balked me quite a bit. But then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to join. We had no crafting stores in town other than places like Spotlight and Lincraft, and I really wanted to be able to buy products and get them at a discount. So that was generally the reason why I joined Stampin' Up. Now, as many of you know that have followed me for many years, I absolutely love crafting, and I want people to love crafting just as much as what I love crafting. And one of the things that I have found throughout the years of me being with Stampin' Up is that just sharing our love of crafting and sharing the same interests that we have with others, it's amazing who you meet along the way. It's amazing the friendships that you make along the way. And it's really, it's more than just joining a crafting company. It's actually joining a support network, joining a community that is a very positive and supporting community. So as some of you may not have realized, but I probably went through in the last 3 years probably the toughest 3 years of my life, and I had many of my Stampin' Up friends that supported me and helped me and hung out with me and chatted with me late at night when I couldn't sleep and things were getting to me. And if I didn't have that community, I don't know where I would be right now. And even my parents said the support that my crafting community gave me was pretty awesome. So Now, along that time, there's been lots of highs and lots of lows, but wow, it's been a journey and a half, and I can tell you it totally has changed my life. And because I've now decided to run it as a business. So many of you know that running it as a business now for probably about the last 3.5 years. I've had a very successful business, and my business is still growing. It's not for everybody joining and running it as a business, but the beauty of Stampin' Up is when you actually join Stampin' Up, you can join for all different reasons. You can join, we all join the same way. It's whatever you put into it is what you get out of it. So the simple fact is, if you just want to enjoy a discount, you can physically just enjoy a discount. You don't have to demonstrate. You don't have to do videos. You don't have to hold parties. You don't have to do any of that. You can wholly and solely enjoy a discount of your own. But then if you've got a crafty community that maybe some people want to buy some products, they can help you stay current. You can enjoy a little bit of commission on the side out of their orders that can fund your crafting habit, and honestly give you a little bit of money to put towards crafting. And I can be the first one to vouch that I was that poor crafter. I could not afford a lot of things, and I used to wait until I actually got some orders from somebody to earn a little bit of commission to be able to buy more crafting things. Luckily now my story is not like that anymore. I physically buy crafting products as a tax deduction, which, I mean, I think that is probably the most perfect way to ever have a business, and to be able to claim crafting products as a tax deduction is pretty awesome. So what I'm saying is, the level that I work at is we are the top like 1% of the company that do what we do. Now, the reason that we do what we do is because we absolutely physically love crafting, and we love sharing it with others. And as I've said to many people, I don't even feel like I work. I feel like I get up and think, what am I going to create today? What am I going to do today? So that's the beauty of being a part of Stampin' Up. But as I said, it's more about the community, and you'll find that I'm more about the social, let's hang out, let's craft, let's get together and just generally have a good social time. So that's what I think is the main probably current thing that people actually that join Stampin' Up, that they actually, that's what gravitates them towards Stampin' Up, is that community side of it. So we do have a special at the moment. So our special for this month only, you get to choose $315 worth of product and only pay $169. Or if you want a die cutting machine, you can do the upgrade one and do the 210, which Julie just did the other day and made the best of this great, awesome special. So what I suggest to people is, even though you may not think that you can afford to be a part of Stampin' Up, there's no reason to not just give it a go, because no one's going to chase you. No one's going to hunt you down and try to make you spend X amount of dollars to keep yourself current. So that is one of the great things. I always say to people, if I had the choice, it's black and white with me. You either purchase as a retail customer and pay full price, or you join and get a 20% discount. Simple as that. But there's no pressure either way. So I'm actually here to just tell you a little bit about some of the benefits of joining Stampin' Up, some of the benefits of being a part of our team. So of course you all realize that you get a 20% discount, but you also get to be a part of our Wildheart Crafters team. So being a part of that crafters team is being a part of a great supportive community. And we do things like we have weekly challenges within our team group that just gets people crafting. So I'm all about getting you inspired and getting you to get those things off your shelf and actually get them out and use them. I know that we all tend to be collectors of many things. And I think us crafters are the biggest collectors of all. But the main thing and my main focus is to make sure what you purchase, you use. So I tend to try and inspire you as much as I possibly can to get those things off your shelf and get into the craft room and actually craft. And one of the things that I actually find a lot of the time when people say, if I hang out with you, Donna, you get me so inspired that I want to go home and I want to get in my craft room and I want to get into it. And that's actually what it's all about. So the more you hang out with crafty people and the more you craft with people, the more you're going to use your products. So sometimes we get into that bit of a slump that we think, oh my God, I'm really not using anything, like it's all sitting there, I haven't touched it for months. That's when you need someone to go, come on, let's get together and let's just craft. And sometimes it could be your best friend, sometimes it could be your sister, your mother, anyone like that. Just call them around and say, come and have a coffee and let's make a card. And honestly, once you start doing things like that, you'll get more inspired to get back in and actually get in the craft room and do some crafting. So I just wanted to quickly show you a sample of what you could get with the special at the moment. And I don't want to harp on about the joining special just at the moment, but I just want to let you know exactly the amount of product. Now, this is just a sample of what you could actually get with the joining special at the moment. But the joining special, you can choose any products that you want. You can anything up to the value of $315. It's your choice. So what I actually targeted today was to show you a sample of a starter kit that if it was someone that was first starting out, that was only just starting to craft, what they may be able to choose as part of their starter kit. So I've just popped you down onto the desk and I'm going to spotlight myself so that everyone can see. All right, now I tailored this kit, which I thought was quite good. So I've got a kit, which is our saying thanks kit, and it's got some really, really cute cards. I did a video of this just recently. Now, this is the starter kit that if you wanted the little mini boho machine. Now, my suggestion is if you're already a crafter and you already have a die cutting machine, yes, okay, if you want the mini, then that's great. If you don't want the mini or you've already got a die cutting machine, then my suggestion would be just to go for the basic kit because it's only $169. If you add the mini, it's going to be $210. But I just wanted to show you what you could actually get. And I'm wondering whether I can zoom out a little bit to see if I can get a bit more in there. There we go. All right. So we've got the little mini. We've got a kit. So out of that kit, you're going to make, I think it's 9 cards. So straight away with this kit, when you purchase it, you're going to be able to make 9 cards. This is a non-stamping kit. So it's a really, really good, easy kit to put together. So if you're a beginner, it would be definitely the way to go. Well, then, of course, if you're going to start stamping, you definitely need some ink pads. So you could actually get 5 ink pads. So that's just the in color version. Now, you're going to see this beautiful product and we are all raving about it. The Irresistible Blooms. This is a brand new bundle. Irresistible Blooms. It's not available to the general public at the moment, but it is available to us as demonstrators, but it's also available to put in a starter kit right now. So this is the stamps and the dies. So you're going to get all this in your kit as well. This paper is simply irresistible. It is to die for. It is gorgeous paper. So you could get a pack of that paper and you can see on the other side. The reason I chose these ink pads was that I thought the color palette would go really, really well with this designer series paper. So straight away, you're going to be able to make 9 cards. You're also going to be able to make many more cards because you've got this beautiful bundle and the designer series paper and the ink and some cardstock to go with it. So you could get our multi-pack cardstock. So you could get the mixture pack cardstock plus a pack of basic white thick, the embellishments that go with this gorgeous bundle, and some glue, and of course a clear block and a paper trimmer. So as you can see, there's a fair bit of product there. Now, not only can you make 9 cards, you would be able to make several more cards with the cardstock that we have and the ink pad and the stamp set dies. You could use the new mini and run the dies through and the gorgeous designer series paper. So as you can see, $315 worth of product is a fair whack, okay? So I just want to show you a couple of samples using this. So this is, and this card hasn't been seen. You're getting a sneak peek of something that you're not supposed to see just yet, but that's an exclusive card for a class that we're doing. And that gorgeous card, I actually made that one in one of my live videos. So as you can see, you could get a huge whack of product by purchasing the starter kit. So now, if there's any questions, if there's anyone that has any further questions about joining Stampin' Up, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I think the best thing to do is to actually call me, talk about it, discuss your options and see if it might be something that you might be interested in. Or if you just wanted to purchase items, then I'm okay and good with that as well. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about the opportunity of being a part of the Wildheart Crafters and what it actually means to be a part of a crafty community like that. I also wanted to talk about a couple of benefits that my team members get compared to other team members or joining another team. So one of the things that I try to do is inspire my team as much as I possibly can. So we have a global creative tutorial bundle that my team get access to that free of charge every month. So that's something that gets emailed out to them, and you get 12 PDF tutorials, 12 videos from 12 top demos around the world. I also do a monthly stamps club that my team get access to that monthly stamps club video as well. So by doing things like that, it keeps them inspired and it keeps them crafting. The other thing is we have monthly team meetings. So monthly team meetings is about gathering. It's about coming together and being a part of that crafty community once again. Now, at our team meeting, we actually all get together and we craft and we celebrate any successes that people have had, any birthdays that people have had. We welcome new team members. So it's once again about being a part of a crafty community. If you live within the vicinity of traveling, to me, we have an in-person team meeting. So we get together, we drink coffee, we laugh, we craft, we tell stories. We generally have a great time every month. So it's a social get together that we come together and craft and enjoy each other's company. So mainly there's so many things that you can actually benefit from joining Stampin' Up. But the one thing that I think is the key component, and I think it's the thing that we all love the most, is that community aspect of being a part of something and feeling like you are a part of something and a valuable asset to the team. We also do a monthly, at our team meetings, the crafting that we do, we have a stamper of the month. So my team members get a chance to actually design what we're going to create in our team meeting. My team members actually get a chance to participate in that and to actually give back to the team by actually designing the cards for the team meeting. They get the stamp set for free. I send them out the stamp set for free, but they get to join and create a card class. Now, it could be a card class that they may end up wanting to hold with some of their friends, or it could just be the fact that they like to give back to the team and that we can all get together and craft and create. And to tell you the truth, I've absolutely loved since we've been doing the Stamper of the Month, because I get to sit back and I get to enjoy a card class that someone else has designed. And that doesn't come around too often, I can tell you, because normally I'm designing them for everybody else. So I have thoroughly enjoyed it. It has been something that has really taken on in our team. We've got the whole 12 months mapped out. Like, we've got people all putting their hand up. I want to do this month. I want to do that month. And it's fantastic that we have the team that are actually giving back to each other. And that's what being a part of a crafty community is all about. So now we're going to craft tonight. So I'm using two bundles. Actually, I'm using 3 bundles altogether, but I'm using 2 main bundles for the 2 cards that we're crafting tonight. So one is the Desert Details stamp set and die set, and this one's just a fairly basic card. So for me to actually go back to basics and to do a fairly easy, fairly simple card, that is a hard thing for me to do, because I'm an avid crafter from way back. Like, it give me 10,000 layers, 10,000 die cuts, ribbon, embellishments, throw it all on there because that's what I love doing. So for me to actually go back to basics is a very hard thing for me to do, but I have actually been reining myself in lately and actually going back to basics, because after all, you don't want to try and copy a card that it's way too hard to do. If you look at a card and you go, oh my God, I think I can do that. I do believe that with the right instruction, anyone can make any card with the right instruction. So I do believe that no matter what card I do, the way I show people step by step, you would physically be able to do the cards that I do. But I wanted to take it back a little bit and do a little bit more simple stamping for people that maybe just are starting out, or even making people feel like it is actually something that is achievable, that it's not too hard for them to do, and that they could look at the card and go, you know what, I can actually recreate that. So I think one of the main things for all of us is that sometimes you look at it and you go, wow, that looks too difficult. I don't think I can do that. And I don't want anyone to feel like that. So I have actually reined myself in a little bit and started to create something a little bit more simple for people. So I'm going to show you this card. So this is the card that we're going to be doing. Hang on, I zoom back in the way we should be. And then I just got rid of that. Just bear with me for 5 seconds so I can zoom us back out. There we go. Come on, there. All right. So this is the card that we're going to be creating. So it's fairly easy and fairly simple. We're only using 2 different ink pads. So we're going to be using the Cajun Craze, and we're going to be using the Soft Succulent. So I've got Cajun Craze there. Bear with me while I go. Oh, no, it's there. Okay, so Soft Succulent, Cajun Craze. Now, the beauty of this stamp set is that it actually has some really great geometrical shaped stamps in it. And I think that's what's one of the best. And now I'm trying to find where I put the stamp set. How bad is that? I just had it before. Okay, I had the stamp set right here. Bear with me. Oh, there it is, right there, right, sitting on top. So these stamps here, I think, are really, really fantastic for being able to do borders, being able to do repetitive patterns, which are great for creating some really easy backgrounds on cards. So I did tell Margaret that was on here before. I actually did tell her the sizing and the measurements. So I'm going to tell everybody the sizing and the measurements now. If you want to write down these measurements, everybody asks me what my measurements are for my cards. I do the exact same measurements all the time when it comes to my cards. My card base is always 5 3/4 inches by 8 inches. Now, the reason why I do a 5 3/4 by 8 inches, and I'm just going to show you, sorry, it's going to be 2 different colors here. It's nearly a half sheet. It's a little bit smaller than a half A4 sheet, okay? I don't cut my A4 sheets exactly in half, and the reason being, sometimes our A4 sheets are never cut exactly the same size every single time you get them. So the reason why I don't cut them in half, the reason why I do the 5 3/4 by 8 inches. So you're going to be cutting 1/4 inch off this way and about 1/4 inch off this way as well. So the reason why I do that is to make sure that my card bases are always the same. I never have an issue whenever it comes to doing card bases, layers. It is so simple when you stick to one single measurements. Okay, so it's always, if you want to write it down, it's always 5 3/4 inches by 8 inches. When you fold that in half, you end up with a card front size of 4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. So as I said, if you are always doing it, so you're going to end up with 4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. If you are always doing your measurements like that all the time, you will never have a worry when it comes to your layers. Now, to get your first layer to step down. So when you want to see a really nice 1/8 of an inch border all the way around, all you do is take 1/4 of an inch off. So because we were 4 inches across here, we're going to go to 3 3/4 inches. Because we were 5 3/4 inches down here, we're going to go to 5 1/2 inches. So 3 3/4 inches, 5 1/2 inches. Now, I just want to show you another thing that I do with my borders is that I like to see a really fine border. Can you see that? That really fine border that you can see around there. So instead of going down 1/4 of an inch, I only go down 1/8 of an inch. So depending on how big of a border you want to see is how much you go down in your measurements. But if you stick to that one basic rule that you either go down 1/4 of an inch smaller or 1/8 of an inch smaller, you will always be able to do your layers. No matter how many times you step it down, if you stick to the same rule, you're going to get perfect borders all the way around, all the time. I see some people that actually like measure. They measure against another card and just put a mark and cut it that way. And then they measure the other way and they put a mark and they cut it that way. And they can't understand why they don't know measurements and how to work out how to do a card. And it's because they've got no method. If you haven't got a method, then you're never going to be able to understand it. Where if you've got that method that this is my card base sizes, these are my layers, you will never have an issue. All right. So I'm going to start with stamping this one, and I'm just going to take a scrap piece of paper because I don't want to get ink all over my bench. Okay. So with this one, it's just these 2 longer stamps. And I don't have my longer blocks here at the moment, but I'm just going to struggle here with the small ones because the other ones are out in my garage. I know where they are, but okay. So I'm just going to mount them. Normally I would have, do you know what? I'm going to go and get them because I'm going to struggle. I'll be 1 minute. Sorry about that. I thought I was all organized. All right. So you can see here, these blocks are just that one bit bigger and they will definitely fit them on. Now, all I've done with the Cajun Craze is the larger one. I'm actually going to start with the larger one. I'm going to ink it up. And I'm just going to do a diagonal just across that bottom corner. Just like that. And that's going to start me with all the rest of the strips. Now with this one, the thinner one, I'm actually going to stamp it off because I want it to be a different color. And I'm just going to line it up. Now it doesn't matter whether you get gaps or whether you don't get gaps, but you are going to soon see that this stamp is so pretty, being able to do these perfect patterns. So I'm going to stamp that one off. This one's full strength again. And this one we'll do stamped off. Now, isn't that just awesome that we can get a pattern like that just by two border stamps? So simple and so easy. You could create background designer series paper by using those. You could do them, instead of doing them on a diagonal, you could do them straight. So it's a really, really awesome set. For that alone is, I think, a really fantastic thing that it offers. All right. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the large flower out of here. And we're going to ink that up with our soft succulent. Now I'm doing that on a scrap piece of paper because we're actually going to die cut this one out. So I'm just going to stamp that one on a scrap. Now, can you see the detail in this stamp? Isn't it just gorgeous? It's so beautiful, the detail. All right. I've also got a strip of our soft succulent, and I'm going to use the sentiment that says your smile is pure magic. And I'm going to ink that up with Cajun Craze. Now I'm going to stamp it down towards the bottom because I am going to cut it down. Okay, so your smile is pure magic. Okay, so that's more or less all of our stamping for our front layer. Now the next thing we're going to do is do our insert layer. So insert layer is done very similar. So I'm going to bring in my scrap piece of paper again. And starting with that pattern stamp again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start at an angle on that corner. This one stamped off. And another one. Okay. We're also going to take the soft succulent and we're going to stamp our flower. And that one I'm just going to stamp it over that way. And then we have another sentiment inside that says, you are what sunshine feels like. And I'm going to ink that up in the Cajun Craze again. And stamp it down. Okay, so that is all of our stamping done. So as you can see, we've used just that border stamp to create that great diagonal pattern and the flower and 2 inks. So it's really, really simple. We haven't had to have a lot of supplies. One of the main things is people always complain about, oh, but I have to buy so many things to be able to do it. You actually can make quite a lot of effective cards by only having minimal supplies. So the last thing we're going to do is die cut that flower out. So I'm just going to grab that die. Now, if you were purchasing the starter kit that has a little mini die cutting machine with it, this die will actually fit through that little mini machine. So it's small enough to actually fit through the mini machine. I'm going to use the big machine just because I have the big machine here beside me. So I'm just going to line that die up and pray that it doesn't move because I'm not going to use washi tape. There, cut it out. And there you have a gorgeous flower all cut out, ready to go. Okay. All right, and now all we have left to do is to assemble our card. So this one here, now I want to talk a little bit about the liquid glue and why I choose to use the liquid glue. When it comes to adhering layers, and the reason why I use liquid glue is because I always like to have that nice fine border. I just like just a touch of color coming in behind on my layers. So the reason I use liquid glue is liquid glue actually gives us wiggle room. So it gives us time to be able to move it around. Now, one of the things with our Tombow glue, a lot of people say, I can't cope with the Tombow glue because I end up with glue everywhere. It oozes out everywhere. You physically don't need a lot. I don't know whether it's easy for you to see, but you physically don't need a lot of glue. The problem when people are saying that they get it all over them and they end up with glue everywhere, it's because they're using too much glue. So I haven't taken it right out to the edges. I've allowed it to have room to ooze out further from where I've actually applied it on the back. And as you can see, I have no glue at the front there at all, but it will adhere down really, really well. It's a stronghold glue, so you don't physically need a lot of it. It will still do the job. Now, I'm going to trim down this sentiment layer. Now, this was a handy dandy little trimmer that we had that was in a starter kit. There's always such good specials when it comes to our starter kit, but this was a handy dandy little trimmer, and I can tell you it comes out many, many times in my craft room, just for the simple fact that it's handy, it's tiny. You can't get it at the moment. Every now and then we keep asking Stampin' Up, please bring it back, but it's really great for trimming down your sentiments. If not, a long bladed pair of scissors, you can cut it nice and straight, or even in our new paper trimmer as well. You can actually line it up pretty well in our new paper trimmer and be able to trim it down. But I use this cute little handy dandy trimmer, and it has no guard on it. And please don't try this at home because you may chop your fingers. But I did get it out in my class on Monday and everyone was like, I don't think I want to use it. It's too scary. But I'm so used to using it without the guard. All right, so I've just cut it at a little bit of an angle like that, ready to go. So you can see cutting down that sentiment strip has just made it so much better. If it was thick, it tends to be too overpowering, and we don't really want our sentiment to be overpowering. We want to be able to see it, but we like to be able to have it that it's not too thick and chunky on our card. All right, so now I'm going to grab some dimensionals and we're going to pop our flower up. Now, if you've got, say, some linen thread, maybe some of the gold, what was that gold thread called? Simply Elegant Trim. Is that what it's called? Simply Elegant Trim. That's what I'm actually going to be using on this one. So if you've got something like that, it's really handy to have it. We're going to actually tie a bow. This one hasn't got a bow on it, but I'm actually going to tie a bow and pop it on as well. And as you'll notice, this one has some things on it that are retired, the gorgeous gilded gems. I absolutely loved them, and they're no longer, and I have a big supply of them. So I did actually use them in this class the other day. So I held this I Love Stamping event as an in-person event on Monday, and we had a lovely day. We had 5 ladies here. And out of the 5 ladies, 2 of the ladies have joined, and a couple of the ladies are saying that they want to place some orders. So it was a fairly good, fun, successful day. And one of the main, and they were all brand new ladies. They hadn't been to any of my classes before, but they got a little bit of a taste of what it's like to come to a class of mine. So they were pretty impressed, I think, about how much fun they had and how many lovely people that they got to meet. Turned out that a couple of them were, 2 of them live in the same town and they didn't even know it. So, so they met people out of their own hometown. So, all right, so I'm just tying a bow. Now I've got it a fairly big bow because I am actually going to pop it here and then I'm going to pop my sentiment over the top. So if you're ever doing like a bow like that you're going to put underneath a sentiment, my suggestion is do a fairly big bow, because once you put your sentiment label over the top, sometimes it can disappear if your bow's too little. So make sure that you've got a really good size bow. Now, to actually adhere that bow, I would use my Seal Plus. Now, some people would use glue dots. I love Seal Plus, and the reason why I love Seal Plus is it's a good strong hold glue. It's easy to use. It's encapsulated in the applicator, so it's quite easy to use, but I tend to use it to adhere bows or anything to a lot of my projects, for the simple fact that I can pop a strip of it there, I can stick that, press it down in there, and it's done. So there's no mess, there's no fuss. And then I can actually pop my sentiment over the top of that, and I don't have any worries about glue going anywhere or trying to fiddle around with a little glue dot. I mean, we have glue dots and there is a purpose for glue dots, but I tend to use my Seal Plus for most things. So I'm now going to grab some dimensionals. So With this, I want to pop dimensionals on this end of my sentiment, but because it's actually going to be sitting on my flower, I just want to actually have liquid glue there, but I want to put a dimensional underneath this end to keep it level. Now, the reason why I just want to put a dimensional under this end, we've got the bow that's pretty bulky underneath there. So the bow is going to help that sentiment sit up anyway. So mainly what we need is just a dimensional on that end, and then we will use liquid glue for the other end, and then the bow will just hold it up in the middle. So I'm just doing one dimensional on the end. I'm then going to grab my liquid glue, pop a bit of liquid glue on that side, and then it's as easy as getting it straight where I want it here on this end and pressing it down on that dimensional, and then the liquid glue will just adhere it to that flower. Okay, so I'm just going to use liquid glue again to do my insert layer. Once again, as you can see, I'm not putting glue right out to the edges on there. I'm actually just wiggling it around, but I'm not putting it right out to the edges. But when I actually pop it into my card, you'll find it will smudge and smoosh out that it will definitely adhere your layer down really well. And of course, on the front, I'm going to pop that one up because I like to add dimension. Now, the reason that I use dimensionals on most things that I do, and just adding that 3D element to your cards just adds a little bit more style and a bit more elegance to your card. It's something that I've done for many, many years, and for the sake of a couple of little foam pads, it just gives a bit more of a wow factor when it comes to your crafting. Now, I also want to talk to you about the handy dandy take the pick tool. This is the Swiss Army knife of crafting. And if you don't have a handy dandy take your pick tool, my question is why not? Because honestly, it is one of the best tools that I think I have in my craft room. Now, these dimensional backings get everywhere. But if we use our handy dandy take your pick tool, we can actually pick the backings off, collect them all on the take your pick tool. So it's just a case of stabbing that little dimensional and collecting them all in one go. So can you see that? I've got them all in one go. They're not going to, well, they do hang around my craft room anyway, because for some reason, these little horrors end up going everywhere. But that's one handy way of being able to save a mess in the craft room. Now, when you're actually adhering a layer like this and you've got dimensionals, my idea is to hover over the top, and you need to stand up for this. I'm standing up for this now. I've stood up because I need to be able to get over the top and see exactly what I'm doing. What you do is you hover over the top until you look like you've got it exactly where you need it to be, with a nice even border all the way around. And all you do is you push with your thumbs and then press it down. Okay, so your fingers have been stuck in underneath it to stop it from actually adhering to your cardstock. But that way you can get it looking really nice. The fact is, with dimensionals, you get one chance at it. Like, yes, okay, you can probably try to prise it up and move it, but I can tell you, making sure that you hover your fingers in underneath and getting it exactly right, and then just pushing with your thumbs, you'll find that you'll get that sitting perfectly. Does anyone that's here, anyone struggle with that? Anyone struggle with trying to get it even when you're using dimensionals? Liquid glue's fine because you can move it around, but when it comes to actually like doing it, yeah, you get one go at sticking it down. So you can all scream at me right now for using the gilded gems that aren't available anymore, and I do apologize, but I love them so much that I have a huge supply. I think I probably have a couple of years supply in my craft room, so I keep using them on projects. So sometimes we have embellishments that we absolutely love, and this was one of them for me. And I just felt like they were fantastic because they went with so many different projects. It didn't matter what color you were using, they seemed to be perfect. So I do apologize for using something that's retired. That Now, when I do embellishments as well, I like to do them in threes, and I like to do them in a triangle fashion. So no matter how steep or how wide your triangle is, doing them in odd numbers and doing them in a triangle fashion, you'll find that that is more pleasing to the eye. So sometimes we struggle with, like, where am I going to put it? If you stick to the rule of going 1, 2, 3 in a triangle, then you'll find that you'll get a little bit of a pattern, and you'll think, oh, you know, I might like to put those two together and one up there. But every time when it comes to an embellishment, if you stick to the golden rule of odd numbers and trying to do them in triangles. So if you wanted to put, say, 5 embellishments on here, you could put maybe another couple up here that you'd have a triangle there and a triangle there. So but yeah, the golden rule is to try and stick to odd numbers and try to put them in triangles. Now, I could take this to a whole new level of awesomeness if we didn't want to stick with just the basic card that we've got there, and we wanted it to look a little bit more special. We could do spritzing with our Cajun craze. So I could do a little bit of spritzing on that cream background, and all I'm doing is taking the brush tip of my Stampin' Up marker and just adding some spritzing in the background. Now, can you see that that's taken it to another level? So it's taken that stark vanilla look off it. I can do it on the insert here as well, just to add a little bit of splattering. But even better, our Wink of Stella. Now, Wink of Stella, we can do the same thing. We can squeeze it and we can just flick it on the front. And I can tell you, when you do Wink of Stella spritzing, it's stunning. I don't know whether you can see that in the light, but you get this gorgeous shimmer all over. Now, if you're going to do the spritzing, you need to be very, very careful with how you treat the tip of your Stampin' Up marker. You don't want to totally destroy it. So when you're flicking, you don't have to do it hard. It doesn't have to be anything major. You just flick lightly. You can actually, an alternative to, if you don't have the Stampin' Up markers, an alternative to using a Stampin' Up marker would be either a paintbrush, and you could use a little bit of water, squeeze some of the ink into the lid of your ink pad, and actually like use a little bit of water and use a paintbrush or a toothbrush and just add a little bit of ink onto it and then flick it onto your card. But sometimes just that spritzing just gives that little bit of extra oomph to your card. So hopefully you have liked that card. Now the next card, I apologize, it's not going to be the easy, simple crafting. We're going to go back to me and the avid crafter that I am. And we're going to create, now I did this in a video just recently, but I wanted to do this again because there's several components to this card. But I can tell you, it is not actually a hard card. Like when I actually created this card, and when I've actually created several of these cards, I've been making multiple of these cards, and I am so in love with this Petal Park stamp set. It is awesome. It is a stamp set and a punch that goes together. Now, I can tell you this stamp set, I'm totally in love with it. You can put whatever sentiment you want with it. As you can see, it doesn't have sentiments, but you can put whatever sentiment you want with it. But the flowers are so simple and easy to stamp. And the fact that the punch cuts out the 3 flowers at once, bingo, you've got 3 flowers straight away to decorate on your card. So the 2 lots of flowers here, it's 2 lots of stamping, 2 lots of punching, and bam, you've got your embellishments for your cards. So it is a really, really awesome set for that. All right, so I'm going to come in with, we've got a Pool Party base. Now, with this card, I'm going to stick to the colors that I've done here on this sample. So we've got Pool Party as our base. We've got Fresh Freesia as our layer. We've got a basic white layer again. So once again, 5 3/4 inches by 8 inches. When we fold that in half, we get a card front size of 4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. Now, same thing with my layer here again. I've gone 1/4 inch smaller. So 1/4 inch smaller gives me an 1/8 inch border. It's in the fresh freezer. It's cut at 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. My white layer is cut at 3 5/8 by 5 3/8. And my white insert layer is cut at 5 1/2 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Okay. And then I've also cut out a little die cut, a little sentiment label here. And we are actually going to use a scrap piece of white to do our flowers. Now, first, I'm going to stamp the flowers and we're going to cut those out. And then I'm actually going to show you how I did this leaf, but I actually did it with the Stamparatus. So the Stamparatus is one of a fantastic stamp positioning tool that we have that makes stamping a lot easier if you're new to stamping or you struggle with stamping, that you find that sometimes you muck up your stamping or it's you have trouble lining things up. You'll find the Stamparatus is fantastic for that. And bear with me, I need to go and find, oh no, there's one. Okay. Now this is a 2-step stamp. So we have a lined image and we have a solid image. Now, whenever you're going to stamp something that you're going to have to cut out with a punch, you really need to turn the punch over and see the way the stamps are positioned, the way the punch is positioned, to see which way you're going to stamp. So I can't stamp my stamps this way because when I go to punch it, the stamps are the wrong way, right? So I've got to turn the stamp around and make sure that the way I'm going to stamp the stamp is I'm going to be able to push that punch in and I'm going to be able to punch it out properly. Now, something that the ladies realized in the class on Monday was the way this leaf is shaped, the angle that it's on. When they stamped it the opposite way. There was no possible way that we could get it into the punch and punch it because it was stamped the wrong way. So you've always got to look at your punch, turn your punch over, look at your punch and see the way the punch is actually set out to know exactly how to stamp that stamp. Now I'm going to bring in my pierce mat, and the reason that I'm bringing in my pierce mat is because the stamp is actually a photopolymer stamp. So photopolymer stamps have no nib in them. So to get a really nice, good, crisp, clear image, it's best to use a pierce mat. We sell the pierce mats. They're a staple in my craft room. I use them all the time. They are honestly, it's something that I use consistently when it comes to photopolymer stamps. If you don't have a flat surface and you use a photopolymer stamp without a pierce mat, you may have a divot in your desk. You may have a pattern on your desk, like your desk may have a bit of a grain type thing to it. It will come out in your stamp. So the pierce mat is really, really important. So for this one, I'm actually going to do the stamped lined image. Now, I always find that if you do the lined image first, you stamp the lined image first. So that's in our fresh freezer. I'm also going to do it in Orchid Oasis. So I'm going to do the both lots of flowers here together. Now I'm not cleaning my stamp because my fresh freezer is way lighter than my Orchid Oasis. So it's not going to make any difference to my stamp pad if I actually ink it up in the Orchid Oasis as well. Okay, so I have Orchid Oasis and I have fresh freezer. Now I'm going to bring in that scrap. I'm going to grab another scrap, a scrap piece of paper, because I want to actually stamp off the color that I'm going to put, the solid piece that I'm going to put on the inside. So I'm going to pop that beside me there. I'm going to ink up the fresh freezer. I'm going to stamp off on my scrap piece of paper, and then I'm going to stamp on. Now, because we've got photopolymer, we're able to look through, and it's very hard because I'm on video here to be able to look through and not get my head in the way. But we can line it up. And I didn't line it up very well because I can't get my head right in there, because you're going to see my hair if I put my head right in there. But anyway, I will try better with the Orchid Oasis one. I need to pull it down closer to me so I can see. So what you do is you line it up over the top so that you can't see out, and see, I've done it perfectly with that one. So, and it's honestly, I'm off a little bit here, but it'll be okay. You won't notice it when you put it together. And the people that are getting the card, they're probably not even going to know that you haven't stamped it exactly where it needs to be. All right, so now because we've actually looked at the way the punch goes, we're now able to use our punch and pop our punch in. Now, the one thing with punches is that you need to line it up, get it fairly even where you think it's going to be, and squeeze gently with your punch. Now, I've squeezed gently with my punch, and you can see I can't pull that cardstock out. I've only got it held on by one hand, but I'm squeezing it gently, not about to punch it. It's just squeezed to actually grab hold of the cardstock. Now I can use both hands and I can punch. And there's 3 flowers, bam. So I'm going to line up these ones. So just take your time in lining them up. Once you get them lined up, squeeze gently like it's about to punch, then use your 2 fingers and punch. So we've got 6 flowers there, all done, ready to go. All right, now the next part that I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my Stamparatus. Now I've already lined up the stamps on the Stamparatus. Now I'm telling you the best way to stamp these stamps is on the Stamparatus because, and I'll explain why. These 2 stamps, so they're, hang on and I'll show you on the stamp set. They are this one here and this one here. Now, there's a small piece of photopolymer holding this side and that side together. Same thing with this one, a small piece of photopolymer holding this side and that side of the stamp. So hence, when you're trying to put them on a block, these side pieces can move quite easily, and it can be very, very hard to line up. So the Stamparatus is definitely what we need to be able to line these up. Now you can see here I've done one already and lined it up, and it's quite nice. So how I lined it up, I'm going to bring in my front layer here again. So on the Stamparatus, this has got a foam mat. So I just want to show you this. So we have a foam mat that this is an addition thing that you can buy for your Stamparatus to go in. The reason why we want this foam mat is because we're using photopolymer stamps. So no different to using our pierce mat, we need to use a photopolymer, we need to use a foam mat to actually give us a really good cushioning for our stamps. So I'm going to use the foam mat, and the beauty of it is it's got the grid on it so that we can line things up. So then what I do is I work out somewhere on this foam mat with the grid where exactly we want to line up our piece of cardstock. So I'm choosing this bottom corner here. Now, the reason why I'm choosing the bottom corner here, when you're using the Stamparatus, it's best not to stamp anywhere near a hinge because the hinge is quite stiff, and you'll find that you'll have a really hard time stamping closer up here. So you're best to get your cardstock and your stamps to actually stamp on these outside edges of your Stamparatus. So I'm actually going to hold that in place. Now, I've got a lined image and I've got a solid image. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. It doesn't really matter because I've got the Stamparatus already set up. So normally what's best is to actually put your stamp set in underneath the Stamparatus so that you can ink up really well. Bring that back down in here so you can see. I'm going to ink up here really well. So I'm going to put my stamp set underneath to be able to hold up that plate a little bit. And I'm going to ink up with my Mossy Meadow on that leafed image. I'm going to move it forward so you can see when I'm going to stamp down here. So I've got that lined up and it's going to stamp and down really well on there. Now, if I misstamp this, because this is a stamp positioning tool, if I miss a piece, I can then re-stamp again if I want to, but I've stamped it pretty perfectly there. Now what I'm going to do is I've got the other bits on the other side. So I'm going to flip it around and put it back into there. I'm going to use my Pear Pizzazz now, and ink up the solid stamp. And we're going to line that up, and it's going to line up perfectly with that, and we're going to stamp it down. Now, I do apologize to the people that came to the class on Monday because I really didn't have it lined up very well. But today I've got it lined up way better than what I did the other day. So now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to flip that around because I want the stamped image on the top part as well. So I'm just going to flip it around. I'm going to put it back into that corner. I'm going to make sure that my my foam pad is definitely pushed up in the corner. I'm going to put my 2 magnets back on. Now, I don't physically have to flip this around and do the lined image first because they're both lined up the right way. I'm actually going to use my pair pizzazz because I've already got it that way. So I'm going to do the solid image first. I'm going to stamp that down. I'm going to try not to put my fingers in the ink that's on there. So we're going to do solid image first. We're going to flip it around. So Stamparatus is fantastic for doing multiple cards. Multiple of the same card, I am telling you, Stamparatus is the tool. All right, and I'm going to pop that down. So, of course, if you decided to join, Stamparatus could be something that you put in your starter kit and this bundle, and you can already start stamping straight away. So you can see there, really easy, really quick. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to stand there and try and line it up. The flowers that we did too, you could have them on the other sheet, clear sheet, and you can actually be stamping them with the Stamparatus as well. So if you're having a hard time trying to line things up, the Stamparatus is definitely the way to go. All right, so we've got that stamped now for the front of the card. So now, because I don't have to do any more stamping to that, I'm actually going to adhere that with my liquid glue. I'm going to close up my ink pads so I don't get them all over me. All right, so I'm going to pop some liquid glue on that. So once again, not using too much of that liquid glue, not going right out to the edge, making sure that I've got just a very small amount of that glue, because it will smoosh out and definitely adhere that layer down. Okay, now I'm going to use the ribbon I used on my original one, seeing as you don't want me to use retired ribbon. So I'm going to use our, this is our Orchid Oasis metallic ribbon. So I'm going to add a little bit of Seal Plus on the back. So this is my cheating way of doing ribbon as well. I put the Seal Plus on the back. So I've just done a strip here and a strip there. And then all I've got to do is stick the end of my ribbon into that Seal Plus, wrap it around however I want to wrap it around. I'm going to wrap it around twice and then glue it into that Seal Plus on the back. Now, if I was using a normal ribbon, I would actually just wrap one edge and put the end of the ribbon in there, wrap it around, put the other end in there, and you're saving the extra ribbon going there. And you're not trying to fiddle, trying to tie a bow all the way around. So I often find that the cheating way of doing it is an easier way of doing it, for the simple fact that it saves on ribbon, but it also is easier to tie the bow. Okay. All right. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to tie a bow and I'm going to glue it on, so I don't actually physically have to worry about trying to hold it in place and tie it. All right, I'm going to pop that up on dimensionals because that's all I have to do to that card base. And then it's just a case of decorating, stamping my insert and stamping my sentiment label. But this stamp set, this bundle, is really fantastic because you can change it up to whatever theme. You can have it as a birthday card. You can have it as a thank you card. You just use your own sentiment of another set. whatever you've got in your stash, whatever type of card that you're thinking of doing. Once again, handy dandy, take your pick tool, taking those backings off and collecting all of those dimensional backings all in one go. Super, super fantastic for keeping your craft room tidy if you get sick and tired of those little dimensional backings getting everywhere. All right, so once again, I'm going to hover with my fingers. So I'm standing up again. I've been standing up crafting for quite a while here tonight, but I'm going to hover my fingers over it until I can see that I've got an even border all the way around. Then I'm going to push down with my thumbs when I know I've got it where I want it and place it down. So by doing that, you've got it really nice and even. So it took a long time for me to master how to do that. Like, because I can guarantee I had that many cards that were a bit, what do they call it over in America? Cattywop. Is that what they call it? Cattywop, that it goes a little bit weird looking. So I have too many American friends, I think, listening to them talking about how it goes. I think I've lost a flower out of all of that. Couldn't have. I feel like I have 1, 2. I've only got 5 flowers. Where's the 6th one? Be under the stamp set. Oh, there it is. It escaped. All right. So now I'm actually going to stamp here. Now I'm going to use the flowers. I'm going to do what I did on the other one. So I'm going to use the flowers. So I think I'm going to do the Orchid Oasis flowers, and I'm going to use my piece mat again and my scrap piece of paper. So now what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create a an insert for the cards. So we want to bring a little bit of the front into the inside. So I'm actually going to ink up those 3 flowers. I think I'm just going to do the flowers like that. So I'm actually going to do it that it's coming off a little bit because I want to just do flowers in the corner. I'm going to grab the solid stamp there. I'm going to stamp them off. So now I've got the stamp going the opposite way. So I've got to try and line that up. So now we've got these cute little leaves in the stamp set. And I think I'm going to use these cute little flowers. I didn't do this on my other card, but I'm going to do it on this one. I want to add some more little flowers inside, but I'm going to do the fresh freesia in amongst them. Okay, so let's do that. Oh, I need 2 more little ones. And we'll actually stamp some leaves for the front as well. So I'm going to do fresh freesia flowers in amongst those. Marion says that she's never thought of using spritzing with Wink of Stella. I spritz, Marion, I spritz with Wink of Stella a lot. Yeah, it's something I do lots and lots. So I'm just stamping some of those little fresh freesia flowers. Now we've got the solid one that we can do. So I'm going to ink that up. I'm going to stamp it off and try and line up over the top. I don't know whether I did just get it. It's like stamping blind here doing this. There. But honestly, I don't think it really matters too much with these flowers if you don't get them exactly where you need them to be. All right, so once again, I'm going to do, well, I was going to do some spritzing with that, but I don't have any of it. Let's do, okay, I'm going to spritz with fresh freesia because I don't have my in color markers in here. So I'm going to spritz a little bit with fresh freesia. All right, so we now have our insert ready to go inside. Now, the other thing that I want to do is I'm going to stamp a couple of these little leaves so that we can punch out some leaves. So we've got a scrap piece of paper here. Now, this is where it's really important to make sure that you look the way your punch goes. So with this leaf, you can see it's going at an angle like that. So you got to make sure that when you stamp your leaves, that you're going to stamp them at the right angle to be able to punch them out with your punch. And I'm going to stamp off because I want to be able to have the variegated leaf. So what we've actually got to do is we've got to make sure that we've got our leaves going the way that it needs to be. So of course here we've got it, it's pointing, the top is pointing to the left, the bottom is pointing to the right. So we've got to make sure that we stamp that way to make sure that we have them going all the right way. Now you can see here, I've left a fair gap in between as well. And the reason that I've left a gap in between is because we don't want to be punching our leaves out. And so I'm actually stamping off so I get a lighter look. We don't want to be punching our leaves out and punching over the top of one that we've already stamped. Jules is saying, are they the alcohol markers? No, they're the Stampin' Up markers, Julie. They're actually the Stampin' Up markers. So our blends look like this. They're our alcohol ones. These are our Stampin' Up markers. These ones are water-based. So when you actually buy these, like you can buy these in the color group, and these you can actually refill with our re-inkers. So you can actually pull that nib out. You can actually put some re-inker down in them and push the nib back in and keep them for years. So these you can't. Once they run out, they run out. You got to buy some new ones. So that's the difference between the alcohol and the water-based. The difference between these Stampin' Up markers that are the water-based, we can actually use them directly on our stamps as well. You can't do that with our alcohol ones. So these you can actually color in your stamps. If you've got a flower that you want to do a fresh freezer flower and you want to do green leaves, you can use your fresh freezer, color in the flower. You can do the green leaves, you huff on it to wet it, and then stamp it. So that's what they're really designed for. They're not designed for coloring. I use them a lot for spritzing. That's what I use them for. I very rarely use them for like coloring in stamps, but I use them for spritzing all the time. So but it's just, and it's, I suppose it's personal preference. I suppose it's what people get used to and what they like doing. You can actually spritz with your alcohol blends, but I'm telling you, you're going to wreck those tips really, really quickly because they're very soft. Our alcohol blends have got very soft tips on them. All right, so I'm going to now punch out these little leaves, and you're going to see what I'm going to use them for here in a minute. So you can see here, because I've actually left a gap in between, I'm not punching over the top. I've got the leaf that it's going the right angle, so I'm able to punch out some leaves. Now, if I was going to do this normally, I wouldn't do it on a big piece. I would do it on a strip of cardstock, so I'm not wasting all this cardstock up here. But for the sake of tonight, I'm just going to make a big mess in my craft room here and punch out some leaves. And we'll have some white flowers in amongst it here. So as you can see, it's really important to make sure you know which way your punch goes, to make sure that you've got your leaves and things going the right way to be able to punch them out. Okay, so I've got a leaf there, a leaf there, a leaf there. There's another leaf. Lord knows where they all went. Oh, there they are there. Okay, I'll take all that away. All right. So now we're going to assemble this card. So I'm going to pop the insert in because we've finished doing the insert. So I'm going to pop that in. Once again, liquid glue, for the simple fact that we can have that wiggle room and be able to line it up really nice on that inside. Okay. And so this stamping in the corner here, you can do that on your envelope as well and decorate your envelope so your envelope can match. Nothing better than getting a beautiful card from somebody and seeing a hand stamped envelope in the letterbox, you know it's a handmade card. So so one of the things that I always suggest to people is don't send naked envelopes, like stamp and add a little bit of decoration to your envelopes, because I can tell you it makes people realize that it's definitely something special that's in that envelope before they even open it. So I'm just poking out some of these. Now this is from the Sentimental Park stamp set. This is one of the dies that goes with it. Now these come in a suite together. So the stamp sets are actually meant to marry up and go together. So I'm just going to stamp, actually, what am I going to stamp on there? Because I haven't got that stamp out. Let's see what I have in here. I'm going to stamp thank you on this. Can I do thank you? Actually, you know what? I'm going to do with deeper sympathy. I know that sounds horrible, but every now and then we need sympathy cards, and I don't actually have any made. So you know what? I'm going to do with the deepest sympathy. And sometimes it's best to do a sympathy card when you don't actually physically need a sympathy card, because it's very hard when your emotions are happening. All right, so I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to do that in our Orchid Oasis. Okay, I'm going to do that. Now I'm stamping it over towards the right hand side, and the reason that I'm doing that is it will allow me a little bit of room to put a little flower on there, and I just think it just drums up that sentiment label a little bit more. All right, so let's do some dimensionals, and I'm going to do the dimensionals top and bottom, but I'm not going to put any in the middle because I've got that ribbon going in underneath. So I actually want the dimensionals to straddle that ribbon. You've got to be really aware of your embellishing and what's happening in underneath your dimensional. So I'm going to leave enough room for that ribbon to be able to run through there and not be bulky underneath. It's not actually that bulky, but if it was something like the gold elegant trim, you would definitely need to allow a bit of room for it to run through and not be getting bulked up underneath the dimensional. Oh, Marion, see, you're learning things tonight, aren't you? Marion said another new thing, didn't know you could re-ink the markers, and learning lots. Exactly. That's what it's all about. Because as you can tell, I do love stamping, and that's why I decided to hold this little I Love Stamping event. All right, so we've got that there. Now it's just a case of decorating with our flowers. Now I'm going to pop them all up, but I'm actually going to add a little bit of shape to them, because sometimes with flowers, they look pretty the way they're stamped, but it brings them to life when you add a bit of shape. So I'm just going to use my bone folder, and I'm just going to curl the ends of the flowers up, the ends of the petals. So it's just honestly taking it and running it through, and it gives you a bit of dimension to your flowers. If you do this with your flowers when you go to embellish a card, you'll be amazed at how much better the card looks with that bit of dimension happening in the flowers. All right, so I'm going to do that to all of the flowers. The little ones are a little bit harder to do. You can even scrunch your flowers up too. You can roll the cardstock up into a little ball and scrunch it all up and then undo it, and it just adds a little bit of character to your flowers. So we're going to do that with all the flowers. I'm also going to do it with the leaves. Okay. Now, what I thought was really nice was to mix up the flower colors, and that's why I did a couple of different colors. So I'm actually going to mix up the fresh freesia like that. Actually, to tell you the truth, I think I'm going to put one of them on there. So we might do that one up there. Okay, that and that. Now, I do always tend to like to do a dry run with my flowers. And the reason that I like to do a dry run is just to see where they're going to sit, just to have a bit of an idea. Now, you can see here with my leaves, I'm just curling them once again with probably the grottiest bone folder that I think you could ever imagine. I don't know why. This is the bone folder I use for re-inking, but I can't find my normal bone folder because everything's still out in my craft studio where I held the class on Monday. My life has been so busy. I can't believe it's Wednesday already. It's hump day in the week already, and I feel like it's still only Monday. All right, so I've curled up my flowers, my leaves as well. All right, so now I'm going to pop some dimensionals. Now that I've done like a bit of a dry run of where I want them to sit, I'm then going to pick them up one at a time, pop a dimensional underneath, and pop them down. We got that one. That one. Okay. I'm going to add another little one for that. I can see I've got few people there on YouTube. So hello, I've got 30 people watching on YouTube. So that is awesome. So this is an I Love Stamping event that I'm doing. And I just have at the beginning, if you didn't catch the beginning, I chatted a little bit about what it's like to be with Stampin' Up and some of the things that has happened since I've joined Stampin' Up and just some of the bonuses of being a part of Stampin' Up. The huge bonus I really think is the 20% discount and the crafty community. I think you can't put a price tag on a crafty community. You can't put a price tag on that wonderful environment that you can be a part of and the friendships that you make. I've got friends now all over the world. We do earn incentive trips, and I need to put a disclaimer out there that it's only the top 1% of the company. And there's something like 55,000 demonstrators in the world, something like that. And we are in the top 1%, but we work very, very hard to earn the incentive trips. And at the moment, you have to be very careful with what you say, because we can't have people thinking that they can join Stampin' Up and all of a sudden be going on an incentive trip next year, because it doesn't quite happen like that. We work very, very hard to earn those trips. Now I've got these little leaves, and because I've curled them up, I'm just going to tuck them in underneath, and it's just going to add a little bit more character and a little bit more depth to our flowers. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue just on the tip of it and then pop it in underneath. Okay. Now I did also want to show you quickly, just before we finish up here, exactly how you can jump onto my website and how you can actually start that joining process. And I'm just going to quickly share my screen and just show you that just for the time being. So just bear with me while I, where are we? There, we need that one. Hang on, and I cancel that. Ugh. Well, it doesn't there. Let me go again. Okay. So I just want to show you a little bit about joining my team. So if you can look here, I actually have a website that is called stampingwithdonnag.com. And when you go to my website, you can actually go to this heading just right here that says join my team. And when you click on the join my team, it brings you to this page. Now, this page is a little bit about my team and some of the team members here. This was at one of our retreats that we had when I used to live in New South Wales. Some of the retreat girls, we had an awesome weekend. We actually had an onstage event and we rolled into a 2-day retreat as well. So it was 4 days of hanging out with crafty people. And I did have actually one team member that she was in tears when she was leaving. She said, I can't believe the 4 days is coming to an end. So, so if that doesn't tell you what being a part of a crafty community is, when someone is so upset that she's leaving because she's had such a good time for 4 days. So some of the benefits of joining is an ongoing 20% discount, earning additional income up to 18% of your sales. So in other words, if someone actually purchases from you, you earn a little bit of commission, VIP access to new product releases and pre-order before they hit the street. So in other words, we actually get to see everything a month before customers do. We actually, get to see, and we get to order things 1 month earlier than what customers do. You can earn free stamps with various promotions. Any promotion that Stampin' Up are doing, any earning products, like so through Celebration at the moment, when you purchase a $90 amount, you will actually earn a free item. For us as demonstrators, we still earn those free items, but we don't have to pay $90. We actually pay $70 and we still earn the free item because we get our 20% discount. So anything that customers are getting, we actually get as demonstrators. We actually get because we're part of Stampin' Up, but we also get our 20% discount on top. And you can qualify for cash bonuses, product rewards, and incentive trips and more. Now, those cash bonuses and product rewards and incentive trips depends on what level you're actually running your Stampin' Up business at. So if you decide that, yes, you do definitely want to join my team, then you can click on this button right here. And when you click on that button, it will bring up the join my team, and it will say Donna Gray. So that's me. And it will say you can pop in your email. When you pop in your email, you can actually get started. So if you've already been shopping with me, when you put your email in, it will say, we already recognize this email. Put in your password. If you remember your password from shopping online, then you pop your password in. That actually helps you because it saves you having to put a lot of the details in. And all you've got to do is go through, choose your $315 worth of product, answer a few questions, and submit it. And you are part of my team. Then what actually happens is once you are a part of my team, then I actually send you an email. I invite you to our team Facebook group, and that's where all the fun begins. That is seriously where all the fun begins. So being a part of that crafty community. So, but the thing is, a lot of people say I'm not a computer person. I don't know whether I really want to do something like this. I'm here to help you and guide you in however you want to run your Stampin' Up. So if you actually want to just get a discount and enjoy the products and enjoy a discount on your products, then that's what I'm here for. If you choose that you want to help some of your friends to purchase some things, I help you in how to place their orders and how to do that. Or if you actually want to build a team, you actually want to invite other people into our crafty community, and you maybe want to hold classes, or you maybe want to start running it as a business, I actually have free business training for all of my team. They're able to attend a free business training. I do a business training video every week, and I do a live Q&A every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Queensland time. So we actually get to check in. We talk about things in our business and what we need to fine tune in our business to get what we want to get out of our business. So and I'm teaching my team members and other people tried and true practices of what I've actually done to build a solid foundation in my business. So depending on, as I said, however you want to run your Stampin' Up is what I'm here to support you with. So I'm all about whatever you want to get out of Stampin' Up, I'm here to help you with that. So I'm here. If you just want to purchase as a customer, then I'm happy to place your orders for you. If you just want to actually join and enjoy a discount, I'm happy to do that as well. All right, so let's get back to finishing this card, and we're just about there. So I'm just going to add a few more of these leaves once again, and that just adds that little bit of character to to your card, adding those extra leaves in sort of brings it to life and makes it look like a beautiful garden full of beautiful flowers. All right. And then I'm going to add some of these gorgeous pastel pearls, because I have a mob of those left as well. Now, I do find with the pastel pearls, I don't know what it is, the bigger pearls and things, I have a hard time trying to get them off. We have a putty tip on the end of our take your pick tool, and I normally just, with rhinestones, scoot it off with the putty tip and pop it on. When it comes to these pearls, honestly, I try to scoot it off and they end up sliding off and sticking to my desk. So I use the points of my scissors to just get in underneath them and pick them up. So sometimes we do have a spatula end on the end of our take your pick tool that you could probably use the spatula end and be able to pick them up that way as well. So just personal preference, but the tips of my scissors do the job pretty well. So I'm just going to pop a pearl in the middle of each one of those flowers. Okay, and I'm going to tie a bow. Okay. Do that. Now, I still use just my Seal Plus, and I'm just going to add a little bit of Seal Plus right there, and then my bow can stick straight into that Seal Plus. And there you have that second card. So it's a little bit different to the first one. I've now done a sympathy card. So as I said, you can just change up the sentiments that you use on them and get a little bit of a different look. And there's the two desert detail ones. So simple stamping, a little bit more elaborate, but even with this one, it seriously wasn't hugely hard to get a really nice pumped up version like that one there, because it's not actually using die cuts or anything, it's actually just using a punch. So sometimes a punch can make our card making a little bit more simple and probably a little bit easier to do, that we can do it and not have to get out that die cutting machine, which I think sometimes is a little bit of a blessing. So let's stop sharing me as the spotlight now. So who's been crafting? You can unmute yourselves, ladies. I've actually had you on mute while I did all my blurb, while I talked the whole time. You can unmute yourselves now and have a bit of a chat with me. Who's been crafting along with me? No?
No, not tonight.
Too busy watching? Margaret, now come on, surely you've been crafting along with it. Yes, look at that. Hang on, I'm going to spotlight Margaret. So
I can't keep up with you, Donna.
I'm too fast, am I? Sorry. So Margaret's done that. Well done, Margaret. You're on mute, Margaret, so we can't hear you, lovey. You're on, yeah, you got to unmute yourself. That's a way.
Better?
There we go. Yep. Yeah.
I've got the sentiment somewhere, so.
Yeah, do you want to hold it up just a little bit higher so we can see it? Hold it up a bit higher. Yep. Well done.
Oh, wow, that was good.
Well done.
Ding, ding.
Well done. And did you have the Petal Park bundle? Did you, or you just did the Desert Details one?
I've got that, but my hand started going.
Yeah, too
So
much.
I'll
Yeah.
do it later. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can always rewatch this video. I actually did that Petal Park one. I did it on one of my live videos as
I've
well.
seen that one, yep.
Yeah, I mean, this is
I
on
love it.
YouTube, so we're all on YouTube, so you'll be able to catch the replay on YouTube. So yeah. So anyway, I really just wanted to share my love of crafting with you, share a little bit of an insight into the background of Stampin' Up and what it's like to be a part of our Wildheart Crafters. And Julian and Kendall have both been a part of my team. Julie's just rejoined. Kendall has been a part of my team a couple of times, and you know,
And about to rejoin.
How are you? Well done. Well done. Because the special at the moment, I am telling you,
I loved it.
it is.
Yeah.
Julie tells me one day I'm not going to rejoin. No. And then like it was.
No, I didn't have the money to rejoin.
It was literally the next day, and she's like, "I'm gonna rejoin. I've got the money." And I said, "I thought you weren't going to do it," but yep. And they,
My husband said I could rejoin.
and you know what, and exactly like I said to Julie, it's just having those friends around you and having someone to actually craft with, and being a part of our team and being able to, I mean, God forbid, our meetings, they're free crafting. You know what I mean? Like, it's like sitting here and doing this as part of my team. We do this every month. We sit and we craft together and we chat. I mean, it's a little bit more wild, our team meetings. Like, there's a little bit more chatting. I sort of muted everybody because we're on YouTube, but our team meetings, like, it's free for all. You know, I mean, we sit there and we chat and people talk about what they've been up to and stuff, you know, like, and that's what it's about. So, Kendall, I'm excited that you actually want to rejoin. So that's good. And I mean, you know what? Like, my attitude is join, make use of the special, stay current as long as you possibly can to enjoy that discount. But if something happens and you can't stay current, so be it, you know, like, and the fact is, you can turn around and rejoin again at any time. Like, under the same person that you're under, you can turn around and rejoin again at any time.
How long between?
Pardon?
Do you have to be out for a certain amount of time?
Okay. So if you are actually with somebody, yes.
I've heard from it once in 5 years.
Yeah, so if you're actually already with a demonstrator, they do have a 90-day cooling, like a 90-day period that you have to wait. So what actually happens is you can naturally drop. You can actually, yeah.
I wouldn't go back with this one.
Yeah, so you can naturally drop and you can wait the 90 days and then you're free to sign up under whoever else you want. It's a little bit sad that we can't change who our team leader is, like, because you don't, I think physically what actually happens is people don't realize when they go to join who they're joining up under and how important that decision is, because I know I didn't have a clue. All I wanted to do was join Stampin' Up, get a discount. You know, I didn't. You know, the person lived down the road from me. I didn't know her from a bar. So, you know, like, but in saying that, I then realized along the track that I physically needed a team leader that was going to help me and guide me. And I didn't have that. So I've actually had to do all that myself. So that has actually then turned me into a team leader that wants to help my team. So, and it's not necessarily it's not the person that I signed up. It's not her fault. I just think I joined her team and I didn't even think I was going to be running it as a business anyway. But as it turned out, she was probably a hobby demonstrator, which there's a lot of us out there. She was probably a hobby demonstrator, and then bam, all of a sudden this business builder has joined in underneath her, you know, like, and I mean, as I said, it took me probably 12, 18 months before I realized I wanted to run it as a business. And it was because I found out I could earn an incentive trip. And I was like, oh my God, I want to try and do that. And you know what? I've earned 5 incentive trips since I've been with Stampin' Up for 6.5 years. And the reason being that incentive for me is enough to make me work my butt off. Like, and it was because I'd never thought I would ever travel the world. I never thought I would ever have an opportunity to go overseas. That's the situation that I was in. And I have now realized that it is a possibility. But I mean, I am telling you, I work really, really hard. And like, it's the everything behind the scenes that people don't see. They see us do a video and they think they think we play with products, and that's all we do. And I can tell you, I physically wish that is what we did. And it was as easy as that. But honestly, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that we do to run it as a business. But I mean, the beauty of that you can actually have your Stamping Up however you want to have your Stamping Up, you know, like if you just want to enjoy it and be a part of a crafty community, then you can do that, you know, like, so the fact is I'm the type of person that I just want to walk alongside of you and support you however you want to do it. So and I'm not a pressure person. I'll tell you what's on the table, like what's available, what how you will benefit from doing something, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm saying you have to do it. I will say, if you do this, you will get this, this, and this, but it's totally up to you what you want to do. So, I mean, it's food for thought, like, but at the moment, the special is really awesome. They don't give us that special very often. And now we're only having one celebration this year. That's it. So, so as far as the celebration joining offer, celebration is going to end at the end of this month, and we are done. Like, we're not having a second lot that we have had for the last couple of years. So, but anyway, if you're really thinking about it and seriously want to give me a call, spend a bit of time, chat with me, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Sometimes there's roadblocks of why we choose not to do something, and I'm here to say, tell me what that roadblock is. Tell me what that roadblock is, and I'm here to discuss it, because the simple fact is the roadblock for me was putting in that ABN number. That was the total roadblock for me, and that's what stopped me. But no one, until the lady that I actually rang and I said, do I have to have an ABN number? She said, no, you don't. And I went, oh my God, like, I joined that day. But I didn't have anyone, but I was the silent person. I was the person that jumped on. Yep. Okay. See you, Marion. Yeah, I was the silent person that didn't want to, I didn't want to ask anyone. And so it stopped me from joining. And I mean, as soon as I actually physically plucked up the courage to ask someone, and I mean, if she had told me, yes, I had to put an ABN number in, I wouldn't have joined. And it was a simple fact of, I didn't want to go down that road, paying tax and doing all those things. I'm now back down that road again, but I didn't, when I first joined, I didn't want to go down that road. I'd stepped away from that. I didn't want to do that anymore, you know, like, but sometimes it's just a case of actually asking the questions, actually getting the answers. And I tell it how it is. There's no secrets, you know, like, I'm as honest as the day comes. You ask me a question, I answer it honestly, because there is physically nothing to be scared of, because there isn't anything to be scared of. There totally isn't. And I mean, like, if someone had said that to me, and I mean, I've been a part of other direct selling companies, and there is a lot to be scared of with some direct selling companies, but I am telling you, there is absolutely nothing to be scared of when it comes to Stampin' Up, because it is all about the crafting. It is all about getting your products, about the crafting and doing what you love. So, yeah.
Yeah, see, I found too, I was selling Avon just to family and friends.
Yeah.
That's all I was doing it, so I could get my stuff cheaper.
Yep.
And I went to one of their main meetings, and one of the big honchos was there, and she said, oh, we're not going to worry about the people who are selling to family and friends. We're just going to, you know, and I thought, well, bugger you.
You know what?
Then I dropped out, and I thought, nah. Whereas you said the other day, you can't do, just keep rejoining. And I thought,
and
that's
you know,
amazing.
I like to me, I'm about getting you crafting, enjoying your crafting, enjoying a discount. And you know what? Times are tough for people sometimes, and we don't have the money, and that's understandable, you know, like, and if that's the case and you have to drop for a little while until your circumstances change, then you just rejoin again, you know, like, so the fact is it's more about, and I think it's because Stampin' Up are all about the crafting and all about like wanting you to enjoy your crafting, because that's actually how it started. It was Shelley and her sister like starting the company because they loved crafting, like, and I think that's what we have to focus on. And when you love crafting and you start working out what your wish list is, you start seeing that you can stay current quite often, like, and yeah, and you know, when you've got a couple of friends that actually purchase from you, it helps you stay current. And you know what, if that's as far as you possibly go, it doesn't matter, you know, it physically doesn't matter, you know, like,
I might even have a customer actually.
See? I spoke to you the other day saying, you know, you never know.
Yeah. But it's been good having Julie back in Geelong though.
Yeah.
We've done a little bit of couple
I'm
of days
actually,
of crafting.
well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the live stream here, and then I'll keep chatting if anyone wants to stop. So I'm just going to